Hello again, welcome to the Ref Show. We have Glenn Turner, we have Mark Halsey on the show again this week. They seem to like coming in here, and there is plenty to talk about. We have a rash of red cards in the Premier League, which is all right, providing they're not rash. We'll ask which ones might have been and which ones weren't. Some thumbs up for a few refs, a few thumbs down as well this week. Standards dipped because we've talked about some reasonable weekends of refereeing. Let's look in some detail and whip through the red cards first of all. 6 in the Premier League across the weekend. Let's deal with the one where there were 2 in the first half, Stoke and West Brom. Michael Oliver was in charge. There were 2 straight reds in that opening half. FLA and Charlie Adam reducing Stoke to 9 men. How did you see those two?
Yeah, I think we're talking about consistency through the 90 minutes, and you talk about referees being consistent within that frame. If you look at that, obviously 1 red card for Stoke, a yellow card for West Brom. It's either 2 yellows or 2 reds. And if I'm going back a few years ago now, when I think Lee Mason sent off a Middlesbrough player at Anfield, where there was just a slight touch on the face, and it got rescinded because they deemed it not as violent conduct. Now, I think Michael would have got away with 2 yellow cards for an adopting aggressive attitude towards an opponent. But, as I say, it's either 2 yellows or 2 reds.
It's all pretty pathetic, Glenn, really. The slightest slap on faces. What are we coming to? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I can recall an incident. I can't recall the player's name some years ago, a Middlesbrough player being sent off for something similar and then it being rescinded.
But technically, the hands were up. Technically, it's a red, isn't it?
But if that's the way we're going, then we've got to do exactly as Mark said. It's 2 reds. It can't be 1 of each because each player has lightly touch the other player's face.
But we regularly talk about young referees, watching our show. You can manage incidents, and that, I think, could have been managed. They could have managed that incident without a shadow of a doubt.
This is Michael Oliver, who was in the middle there, and he's always ready to make a big call, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got the courage to make a big call.
Yes.
Charlie Adam was the more interesting one. Glenn, bring you in first on that, because this was a touchline clash with Craig Dawson, and the linesman or assistant referee Stuart Burt got involved.
Yeah. Fabulous piece of work by Stuart Burt, because I don't think Ollie was giving that. In fact, I'm pretty certain Ollie wasn't giving that one. And a great intervention by Stuart Burt. He not only correctly gave the decision, it's the manner in which he gave the decision. It was on the field. I'm a presence, trying to sort out the confrontation between the 2 players. He got there before Ollie did, so he's trying to settle the thing down before the referee even arrives. Great piece of work.
Kind of thing that you've been calling for.
Well, and that's what you ask from an assistant. When you don't see a big incident like that, you need your assistant referees to be stood up and be counted. And I think Charlie knew what was coming, because as soon as Stuart's on the field of play, Charlie knew exactly. That's why he was calm.
Look at his face. You look at his expression.
And listen,
he knew.
Charlie's the only one will know if that's deliberately and a deliberate act. And I've refereed Charlie many times, and I think the scissor kick or the scissor challenge that came in, the red mist easily falls down on Charlie, and I think he knew what was coming.
Okay, let's move on to Kevin Friend, who was in charge at Anfield for West Ham's shock 3-0 victory there. Now, there were 2 red cards in this one. Let's deal with the first one. It was Coutinho of Liverpool for 2 yellows. Just want to raise an issue about the first yellow, which was kind of not retreating for a free kick or whatever. And there was no spray can used, actually.
No, I think I watched the game on Saturday. I think it was Rodriguez. I went to Bury and Oldham, and to stop that, Roger put the spray can straight at the ball and straight away, to get them back here, and it didn't happen. And once again, it's about, refereeing at the top level, it's about awareness, Glenn. It's awareness of what's going on around you, and he could have nipped in and he managed that. Okay, he's not. By letter of the law, he's correct. He's delayed the restart of play, and he's shown him the yellow card. Can you criticise him?
Also, he's been given another tool for use, and he's not used it. Compare that to, once again, another outstanding performance by Mark Clattenburg. I'm sure we'll come on to that. Incident involving Mark Clattenburg. Incident involving Mark Clattenburg, though. He went whoosh with a line, and walked away. There you go. And all the players retreated behind the line.
Absolutely what Rodriguez done at Bury on Saturday.
If you've got a tool, use it. It seems to be the message coming through. Okay, Mark Noble with the second sending off. Now, it was 1 yellow initially, and then a straight red. Now, we've seen the replay, and it wasn't
Never a red in 1,000 years. I mean, the good thing is, because of the way that the system is set up, well, hopefully West Ham will appeal against that one, and hopefully common sense will.
I mean, it's not the first time it's happened to Kevin, because was it last season or season before when he was at the Britannia, Wes Brown, he sent off Wes Brown for a fantastic challenge. And you know, you've got to look at the preparation into games before the season and during the season. And I think, as we talk about your concentration levels, your mental focus, and you cannot slip for a minute, because if you do, it comes back to it. And I just think that Kevin's rushed in there. He's not taken his time. He's not read the situation. No players are going. Perhaps you've got to look at his positioning. His positioning was wrong. Perhaps he could have been, towards the incident a bit more. And I just think he's rushed into it. And I feel for Kevin. We don't want to be sitting here, lambasting referees week in, week out. And I really feel for him.
It's a worry. It's a worry for me, and a genuine worry for me, though, Mark. Because when an incident like that happens, because we can all miss things that do happen. We have all missed things. It's when you think something's happened that never, because he's seen something that never actually happened, and that's a worry. When you're giving decisions that haven't happened.
Can I just whip through a few good ones? We need to move on. I'm sorry. I'm refereeing here. Yellow card. We've got to move on because we've got a load to get into this section. Just to whip through some performances that were better. Craig Pawson, I think, Chelsea 1, Crystal Palace 2. Apart from Zuma being wrestled down by Wickham, which might have been a penalty. Mark Clattenburg at Manchester City, Watford. Spurs Everton, Mike Jones, well done, I think. Aston Villa 2, Sunderland 2. Robert Madley marked highly for, he acted on a penalty for grappling there, gave a penalty. Against Catamol.
I thought he'd done extremely well, and I thought very, very well. He seems to. I'd just like to see him lose a few more pounds. Perhaps go on what your, was it your diet on the whiskey diet, and you lost 3 months.
Yeah, I've been on a whiskey diet. I lost 3 months.
I think he'd done ever so well in identifying the simulation. I think. See, what makes it easy for referees is the way they go down. If they go down naturally when they're fouled, then they most probably would get more penalties or more free kicks. But they go down so theatrical now, and I think Robert had a good day at the office. Yeah.
Having said well done to a few referees there, let's come to a couple of games. Also, we'll deal with Martin Atkinson, Swansea 2, Manchester United 1. You get a standard from Martin Atkinson, don't you?
Oh, you do. I mean, obviously, I'm laughing because obviously I should have been blogging the game, and
that's another story.
I've made an error. I get a text. Where are you? What are you doing?
At Colchester next week. Right. Let's go. We've got a couple of minutes left to get into a bit more meaty stuff. Arsenal's win at Newcastle, and Mitrovic is sending off. It's been well covered. It was a red card. Yeah?
It was a red card. Yes, absolutely. Nailed on. I mean,
but why wasn't Sissoko earlier than that red card?
It's interesting because Steve McLaren, after the game, come out and said he felt the referee was inconsistent. Well, I think Steve McLaren ought to feel lucky that he was inconsistent, because really they should have been down to 9 men, because you tell me the difference between Sissoko's and Mitrovic's challenges. There was no difference whatsoever. So I think Newcastle were rather lucky just to have 10 men and not 9 men on the pitch.
Yeah. That's the way you saw it.
There was also a penalty missed in that game.
This was Bellerin should have had a penalty.
Then again, you got Andre's a very experienced referee, and it's about pushing through, and it's about making those angles. He was just straight up and down, straight up and down, and the best referees, and Andre is a very good referee. You've got to come off that path of control up and down. You've got to make the angles for yourself so you can see these. But not only that, we're talking about assistants. Between them, where was the assistant? Between them, they should have got it correct. The assistant, he's not got to look for offside. The assistant has not got to look for offside there. So all he's looking at is that challenge.
Okay, briefly, Southampton 3, Norwich 0, John Moss, Stephen Whittaker 2 yellows in 3 minutes. I think they were both correct.
Listen, I don't think Norwich or Whittaker can have any complaints.
There's only one person to blame there, that's Mr. Whittaker.
I know the manager come out and said he thought the first caution was harsh, but if you look at it, we're talking about managing situations. Now, in that situation, Whittaker knew exactly what he was doing. There was a quick throw on, there was a quick breakaway, promising attack. If it reaches the Southampton player, that's why he was cautioned for delay of restart. Now, if that happens in the defending half of Southampton, you can then manage it, but that's where we get the downfall with the media saying, well, hang on a minute, he's cautioned there, but he hasn't cautioned there. Well, they're two totally different incidents, and then you can deal with them differently.
Right, in the second half of the Ref Show, we're going to talk in a bit of detail about Bournemouth against Leicester, because it seems that to our guys here that Bournemouth have had a raw deal in the opening weeks of the season as newcomers to the Premier League. Neil Swarbrick was in charge of that one, but we'll also talk generally about the standards of refereeing at the weekend, and we'll talk about what these guys feel should happen when referees have an off day, what should happen in the immediate aftermath to prepare them for the next game. Plus there's some embarrassing moments. We'll all share some embarrassing moments, and we have a competition prize to give away, that signed shirt, and we have a competition winner. So join us for the second part shortly. We'll see you then.